Hi, how the heck are you? Guess what? Controversy. Recently, mediocre to decent character action title Stellar Blade was released for the PlayStation 5 exclusively, and people are angry about it. And by people, I mean specifically men, and by men, I mean specifically that kind of man that you don't want to associate with if you're a fan of video games. Now, there's a lot of context here that could be explained more thoroughly, but I think I'm just going to go through the greatest hits. Originally, the game was called Project Eve and was advertised in a way that made gamers feel that it was probably going to be a relatively horny game. I think that is a safe assumption based on the original trailer. There's a group of people online that are Gamergate adjacent people. They're sort of the incels of the video game community. And these people are mostly men, they are mostly sexless, and they are mostly angry about representation of women in video games. If a female character is given an arc and purpose and looks like a real person, they probably hate it. They're here for anime boobs, jiggling and bouncing. They heard that the Nikkei developer made this game, horniest mobile game of all time, and they were like, this is going to be the savior of my kind of video game. Video games made for me. And truly they do believe that they are the only consumers of video games. They don't like the idea that women have infiltrated the video game space. They don't like the idea that people of color have infiltrated the video game space, or gay people, and they're the same kind of anti-woke mob that are constantly complaining when black characters are in video games. Black women especially are in video games. They complain when women in video games are designed to look like real people, and they complain directly to those real people that the women are based on as character models and threaten them online. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Now, because the developer of this game is Shift Up, these gamers are focused very, very hard on the fact that the character is sexy, which, given the marketing, is absolutely reasonable. It was marketed immediately, even as Project Eve, as a game with a robot with a butt. It was like, we're the second coming of Nier, and everybody's excited because there's going to be so much porn of this character. Everybody go nuts. Unfortunately, if the porn of the character isn't in the game, these people seem to think that that is some sort of personal affront to them. And the wildest thing about all of this is that the game has now come out. It has reviewed relatively well, and still they are so angry. Even though what they wanted was for the game to be positively received, they at the same time wanted all the reviewers, all the leftist gamers, everybody to be angry that the game did well. Which doesn't really make sense, because if the game is being reviewed well, then the reviewers like it. They can't have it both ways, and they wanted it to be this amazing game that all the reviewers hated, but that was secretly amazing to just them, I guess, so that they could have their horny robot game and eat it too. So to be clear about this, these people have been radicalized by the internet. This is a normal phenomenon in modern society. We see it all over the place with crazy terrorists, people becoming anti-vax, people becoming anti-LGBT. All sorts of wild radicalization happens on the internet. That does not exclude gaming spaces. And initially, the Gamergate kind of cultural shift in late 2014 or something was when people started to go down like a right-wing pipeline when it came to video game stuff. It was the inclusion of women in video games that angered these people to the point of radicalizing themselves online and being radicalized. We see now, as a result of that this has become a popular way to think online. There's enough people online that think like this that these people feel insulated and they feel safe to portray these opinions online and to just spew vitriol at the women who are voice acting for these games, who are acting as models for the game's characters. So in this case, what they wanted to be angry about was that the game was not appreciated because everyone on the left was mad that it was a sexy robot game. But Nier Automata is also a sexy robot game of a very similar type, and it's near universally praised because people don't care if the sexy robot game exists if it's a good game. They don't care. Unfortunately, people within that community seem very angry by the fact that lots of left-leaning people are not mad about this. All versions of radicalization indoctrinate people by making them think that their class or their type of person or religious beliefs, they're being victimized by something. So these gamers claim to be victims of the fact that characters like Mary Jane Watson in the Spider-Man games aren't like hot pinup girls, and they're just actually real life hot women, which they don't like because they don't like real women. They like this fictional version of a sexy woman, sort of an anime pornification of a woman, which is just kind of grotesque and not reasonable in the slightest. Like, you can look at that on the internet and be psyched and jerk off about it or whatever. But to demand that every character in a video game not be a well-rounded female character, they must be like all tits and ass, designed just for the male gaze to absorb, is ridiculous. So the game comes out, it's good, or it's at least good enough that it's getting 7s and 8s. Pretty good game. I mean, last year's Lies of P got 7s and 8s. One of my favorite games of the year for sure. And this being also somewhat a Souls-like and a character action title, feels like it's about in line with Lies of P, which was very well received. People had a great time with that game, and it didn't have wild controversy because they didn't make Pinocchio's dick smaller or something after the game was released. So in the absence of being able to be angry about what they thought would occur, they're now angry about the tiniest little thing because they must be victims. They're angry that the game has been censored. Mark Kern, ex-Blizzard employee and known internet loser, has been tweeting with the hashtag #SaveStellarBlade. He created a change.org petition that has, at the time of this recording, over 77,000 signatures by these angry idiots on the internet to get tiny little strips of fabric reinstated into the game that were patched out at release. What's insane about that is the outfits are still like the version of sexy that they would be happy with in a video game, but because they have been changed to show less skin, they're still angry because they're obviously victims in this situation. How dare you take away this much more skin of this half-nude woman for me to jerk off to in this video game? I don't know how I'm going to recover from this. This is going to ruin my whole entire year. So now that the year is ruined, let's check out some of the commenters on this petition that Mark Kern started. So the petition reads, Stellar Blade is a phenomenal new game. Okay. Stellar Blade is a phenomenal new game that just launched on PlayStation 5 worldwide, but it has a problem. The content has been censored from the original trailer version posted by Sony. We, as gamers, want this content back. We relied on it. We made the game the #1 pre-order worldwide because of it, and this is the true game we want. So, fundamentally, the game has apparently been changed because 2 of the outfits have been altered ever so slightly. And that's false advertising, according to Mark Kern, because between the trailer and the game releasing, there were changes to the costumes, which is a normal thing that happens in video games. How many trailers for a video game have you seen where you then go on to purchase the game and things have been changed? It's a scummy practice. A lot of things are advertised in a way that makes you think that a game might be better or more robust than it is, and then features have been culled or things have been changed about the way that characters interact with one another when the game is released. But changing 2 skins slightly is not a reason to be up in arms like this. That's insane. How could this be your only personality trait? For God's sake, please go outside. Or conversely, stay inside forever, but cut off your internet because nobody should have to interact with you ever again. So we're going to start with a real banger here because this is a very oft used argument and you're going to see it a lot in these comments. If it's okay to have sex as a bear with a same-sex vampire, BG3, it should also be acceptable to see female curves because that's artistic freedom and having the freedom of choice. If we're going to take that as the example, and he's going to say you can have sex with a bear in Baldur's Gate 3, so you should be able to see this woman be mostly nude in this game, why do people use that as an argument? Because Baldur's Gate 3 allows you to just walk around the entire world naked as either a man or a woman or a party of men and women. Non-binary people, you can be naked as whoever you want in that game. So why is that the argument? Is the bear, the gay bear? They're just angry that there was a gay thing in a game. They want their thing in their game, but because the bear sex scene is gay, they're like, oh my God, so the left gets what they want, but we don't get what we want? I hate woke. Stop making cheap politics within video games and then just a bunch of stars after an F word. I assume the F slur, but it's tough to say. This is also another very annoying tactic where I'm sure, as you're all familiar, the word woke is just this catch-all term for anything that people don't like. If you have a gay person anywhere in existence, that's woke. A black person, that's woke as well. If the shoes of a character happen to have a rainbow on them in a video game, or they're wearing a little rainbow pin or something, that's woke. Get that out of my video games. I can't believe you do this to my children. Also, cheap politics, that's confusing. When this video game is markedly still about a sexy robot in every single way, except for that 2 outfits were altered. It's an unbelievable complaint to have, even given the fact that woke means nothing, and it's a non-complaint to say I hate woke. Censorship needs to be stopped at all cost. Fuck your ideology and political agendas. Keep the creation of games as an art form. Keep the creation of games as an art form. Unless the art is something I don't like. Unless the game was made by a black person, then do not keep the creation of games in art form. I will not stand for that. I do not want that anymore. Different petition. I'm mad about that as well. I was hoping to enjoy a game more adult-centric, not altered to appease a standard that doesn't even exist to begin with amongst the majority community. First of all, the majority community is still, unfortunately, mostly men. However, a very sizable portion of this community are people of color, male and female, and women in general. That's just part of what gaming is now. And you can't bury your head in the sand and close your eyes and scream and cover your ears and say it's just for me, because it's not anymore. And it's ridiculous to try and apply that lens as a standard to games that are being released today. And no matter how angry you are about it, that's never going to change to be the way that it was before, because games are a bigger medium. And also, the game was not censored to not be sexual. The game is still the horny robot game. I don't understand all these people who are saying you censored it so that it wouldn't be as adult or to cover up the sex in the game. That's not true. There's still extremely revealing outfits. There's still just lingerie that she's wearing. One of the designs that they're complaining about is literally lingerie that they added a strip of fabric to, but it's still just lingerie. It's not like they added a shirt or something. It's one little strip of fabric that is so skin tight, it may as well be made of paint. This one's funny in a way that I think a lot of them are, and it's just a great example. I am old enough to decide for myself what I am capable of to see and play in design/art, violence/gore, or sexiness. I am not under the age of 21 anymore, so please do not treat me like that. He's ready to jerk off to his video games and be drunk at the same time because he is not under 21 anymore, and how dare we treat him like that? Get this man a beer. Censorship is bad in every regard. The creators themselves publicly stated the game would be uncensored. Well, it turns out they lied, but it wasn't their fault. It was the fault of the publisher, and I consider false marketing a crime, and it needs to be reverted immediately. We are all adults here, and this is a illegal practice to show and tell something, but then deliver something else. This needs to be reversed now. Again, everything about this game that was advertised is present in the game. It is just literally that there have been strips of fabric added to 2 of the outfits. This is what these people are mad about. These people who are acting like this is the free speech issue of the millennium. The game itself, not change. 2 skins changed slightly. People argue girls in game, but ignoring extremely skinny girls in fashion shows, lol. Tough to say what that one's about. At one point, there was a straw man argument being made that I'm sure still is by these people, that the left constantly complain that if a woman doesn't look like a real woman, she shouldn't be able to be in a video game. That is not what people are asking for in all cases. You don't see someone looking at Celeste and complaining that the little girl doesn't look enough like a little girl and that she's too blocky. That's insane. But in the case of this game, they're complaining because people on the left had said to these chuds when they complained about Abby in The Last of Us or about Mary Jane Watson in the Spider-Man games that they're actual women. And they were like, well, I guess the left thinks we can't be mad about this because they're based on actual women, so we can weaponize that in this case because Eve, this game's protagonist, is based on a Korean model. Now, unfortunately, they don't seem to understand that the model has still been altered to be more sexualized in the game, so even if that were the argument people were making, which it's not, it's still not a valid criticism, really, of the left's stance that they are projecting onto them. She's an anime character. Like, she's not designed to look like the real woman. She's just based on the real woman and then made into a sexy anime girl, which is very different from like a one-to-one capture of Mary Jane Watson in the Spider-Man games. This one is extremely fun. I'm a huge, huge fan of this. I had to sign to say this. Wars and famine plague the globe. Political strife dividing our people, homelessness, losing our rights in this country, and you choose to bitch about games? Really? You, my friend, need a reality check. cranial rectitis is becoming a more increasingly popular stance, unfortunately. That is an insane take for 2 outfits in this game being changed. He's talking about wars. And somehow the equivalency to these people is that this is a war, because the culture war is a war just like any other. So obviously these brave soldiers need to lay down their signatures just like soldiers in real life lay down their lives, exactly like that. Don't you tell them that that's any different, because it's not. This is another very common one where either someone says that they are a woman or say that they know a woman that likes this. This game is beautiful, and as a woman, I want it to remain as beautiful as it was originally promised. Even if these people are women, they're still ascribing to this weird ideology that everything needs to be designed for the male gaze. The fact that you're a woman doesn't matter if what you are saying is still supporting this disgusting misogynist outlook. Just because trad wives exist doesn't mean that women should be subservient because some women think that that's okay and they like it. Even if you are a woman that likes sexualized characters in games, ladies, this game is still very sexualized, and it's for you and it's for all the men who want to jerk off at home. This person says, as a gamer, is not about the censor. Sony and Shift Up lied to us. This game is half the reason I bought a PS5. First of all, I would love to know what the other half of the reason was. What other game was horny enough and deemed not censored for this person to buy this console? Sony did not lie to you. Shift Up did not lie to you. There are 2 pieces of fabric added to otherwise completely unchanged skins. And the fact that they've somehow amassed 77,000 signatures for this brain-dead take, I cannot believe people have been whipped up into a frenzy this easily about something so non-existent as a problem. War exists, famine exists, and that these people are up in arms about a video game? Come on. Wow, 75k signatures, 150k, let's fucking go! If somebody is afraid of some beautiful woman's cleavage, then somebody is a sex offender. What? That's unbelievable. What are you talking about? He knows enough sex offenders, I assume, that he's able to make this distinction. And I guess I shouldn't be so critical of that. But what are you going to do? I guess he's the expert. In a fit of violent irony, this person signed saying, "Never listen to those who screams the loudest. They don't play the game." And then right above it, someone posted, "I have not even got to play the game yet." This one says, "I don't believe in companies being forced into DEI/Marxist mandates." The fabric being added to the costumes is both of those things. And if you ask why or how, or even what DEI or Marxist mandates are, I'm sure that that person could give you a thorough explanation, and they wouldn't just immediately crumble and have no argument. Now, finally, we have a comment that is a small slice of light in a sea of impenetrable darkness. I want to see tits and ass. If I'm not hard while gaming, then what's the point? I think we can all agree with that. And that's just a fantastic place to end this video. Now, I should come to some sort of conclusion to wrap this video, I suppose, but the only conclusion that I've come to in exploring these change.org signatures is to say that you should not listen to these people. They are stupid. They have opinions of no value, and they don't understand what's going on around them, seemingly at any time. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you have a problem with anything I said, please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks.